life in their hands, right?
Definitely.
To see you later, to talk to you, to see the fact that you have children now, or that you have, gone on to have this fun podcast, like all of the things that you've done because of that, the more we can keep those researchers and clinicians like close to you, the better. So that's like a real missional piece of what we try to do. So I have all these heart projects. That's the next thing to kind of talk about, because I get super excited easily, and Nancy can attest to that. You might say, like, yeah, Tawny, I watch you a lot, mainly because you literally live in the place that I miss. So I'm like, ooh, now what's she doing? Is she at Torrance Beach? Where's she at? What's she doing?
Yes, I'll be sharing more, and I'm gonna want to hear more about like the whole story from you. Like,
it's just awesome. It's really funny. I love living up here. Just a total side note, I do like Northern California. I like California in general, but a lot of my heart is still there. Like oh my God, I would live in Disneyland if they'd let me. I even had it completely like mapped out how I would hide so that they would never find me.
Oh, I have made friends with the cast members now, and then and then COVID hit. Like, I was getting their numbers. I was like, we're going to hang out. They're like, we're going to take you in the secret tunnels, and then COVID hit.
Oh, talk about bad timing.
Right. So because I get so excited, I do try to keep a running list of fun projects. And one of them happened to be a magazine. And I've really been thinking about it a really, really long time. We're talking like from 2014, right, Nancy? I think it was 2014 when I started. And then COVID. Let's talk about COVID. Let's talk about how crappy it is and how hard it is and how it makes everything like so much more challenging. But let's also say some fun things have happened during COVID because we got stuck inside. And one of them was this magazine. So I have conversations every day. One of the great things about TAAF is that we try to individualize care, which means that if Nancy, and I keep saying Nancy's name, I want to say out loud, Nancy is the best. Nancy is the bomb. Nancy is my absolute utmost favoriteest person. And I will tell you, I can brag on her all day. And I will in a moment. But what I wanted to say is that when I met her, something didn't just click. It was like godly, kismet, like universal, something happened. And I'm getting myself off topic, but she is amazing. I keep saying that Nancy knows. It's because I try to tell her as much as I can. Anywho, we do this individualized care. So if Nancy called me and she said, my mom has had a brain hemorrhage and we are looking for resources. Easy peasy, I would talk to Nancy, but I might keep Nancy forever. And that's what's so funny. So if, let's say she's gone to UCSF, which is right here in San Francisco, big thing. Number 2 in the entire nation for neurosurgery and neurology, only behind Johns Hopkins. Like, it's a big deal to come to UCSF. And we run their on the ground support group. So that might be a way to bring Nancy in, right? And then all of a sudden Nancy decides, oh my gosh, Dina was talking about this walk. And then Nancy comes to the walk. And then Nancy comes here. And then and so I've helped people, my gosh, in Bosnia Herzegovina.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to help these people. They don't even live in my country, right? Yeah. Sometimes the most important help that they're receiving is just a listening ear. And so definitely. I say all of that to say that personalized care is huge to us. It's a huge deal. And I thought, well, I have all these conversations. And the one thing that is truly repetitive that happens every single conversation is you wish you had the other person, the other factor, the other entity that you're discussing in the room with you. So in other words, if I'm talking to a clinician, inevitably I'm like, man, I wish I had that caregiver here to give their perspective right now. Right. Like if they could hear it directly, like this would be so good. Or I'm talking with, more patients usually, right? I'm talking with the patient, I'm thinking to myself, I'm knowledgeable, but neither of my degrees are in neurology. In fact, I actually was a bio major for a year and then got a lit degree. Like, I'm not the person that you should be chatting with. Like, I wish we had your neurosurgeon with us right now. Then we could hear her perspective, right? And so this project is just sitting there, right? This magazine idea. And I wanted it to be this opportunity to have, we have so many questions in this community, right? That are universal, that we all talk about, you know, and the one that I always joke about, because it kind of, she's going to do it. She's so cute. I see. She knows me so well. What am I going to say, Nancy? What's my question?
It has to do with sex.
Right. Sex after surgery, right? It's one of these things that comes up in support group and is always like people are like not bringing it up, but bringing it up all the time. And it's so cute to me, which is why I jokingly say it to the magazine staff all the time. I'm like, we're not going to balk from any good questions. But the idea, let me go back. The idea is that it's one question, all three perspectives at the same time. So it's, you know, it's the caregiver, or care team is what we call them, right? It's the clinician and it's the patient. And they all answer that one question, which is what is called TAAF talk. And then of course, those are going to be the one question, three perspectives, but we only do it quarterly. And so we're like, well, what are we going to do the rest of the quarter, right? And so as you can tell, because I haven't shut up yet, I can get on a soapbox. Like, I can get up there and I can talk about what I'm passionate about, and I can tell you how much I love you, and I can show you how I'm going to help you. So why don't we have a soapbox? And that's what the other weekly articles are referred to. So those soapbox articles range in every way. Like, we've been so lucky because it's not like a magazine that comes to you in the you know, in the mail. That we do. We had our first interview, which was with Dr. David Langer, can't speak. And he's actually the kind of like the star of Lenox Hill. If you watch Netflix, he's the neurosurgeon that is part of that. So that was really fun. We had 2 different musicians, some art from them. Like, it's just been way cooler than I thought it would be.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah. I was
Thank
like, way to
you.
go on the interviews already. Like, those sound awesome.
It's been such a hoot. However, I couldn't have done any of it. None of it. Like, I literally mapped out what I wanted the magazine, the online version, by page on a yellow, like, legal pad, because I'm super visual, but I don't know that back end crap. I don't know how to code. I know what I want, and I know that I'm going to ask you to give it to me, right? Like, so who would I turn to? Who in the whole wide world do I trust more than, like, most anyone? Who is super smart, who is interested in all that techie stuff I hate, who wants to make a difference? Enter Nancy. And I think it's really important, because I don't ever shut up, to do that and let Nancy tell you how she came to TAAF and to the magazine, and then maybe we can pick up from there. Nancy, you goddess of all goddesses, welcome to not my show, but tell us, how did you come to be with TAAF?
So I have I had a son named William. After trying to have a baby for 3 years, we got pregnant through insemination, and he was born actually 3 years and 2 days ago, on the 24th of November. And when he was born, he was immediately sent to the NICU. They thought he had a heart condition, and it turned out that he had an AVM. Actually multiple AVMs. And actually, I was just talking to Dina about this. It's crazy because he had what they thought was a stork bite on his nose up into his head. Well, what we think it may have been is actually a visual representation of his AVM. But it was just something recent that I'm still learning. And that's one of the blessings of TAAF, is I'm still continuing to learn things about my son. And so I live in a small little town that doesn't have the greatest medical care. Great for the town that they're in, but in consideration like UCSF or that kind of thing, it's just not that great. So he was sent to our children's hospital here. And the doctor was like, I haven't seen this in 40 years. We don't have capabilities to deal with what's going on. Like, okay. So they life flighted him to Stanford in Palo Alto. And he received care for 3 weeks. Unfortunately, during one of the surgeries, he hemorrhaged and it impacted his spinal cord. And they basically told us if he was to survive, he'd have no quality of life. And so we had to make the decision to take him off of life support. And he lived for 3 weeks. But during that time, there were just so many blessings and so many things that I, as a parent, I'm involved in a loss support group that there are times where I'm like, I got to hold my son. I got to hear him cry and certain things that some parents don't even get. So I guess, I don't know if it was my mentality before or if it's something that I was blessed with, is that I really do find the blessings, those positive things in such hard times. But the crazy thing for me is that during that whole time of me researching, looking up what is an AVM, TAAF's website never came up. I saw John Hopkins, I saw, Ohio. Yeah, the Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, never came up. And so, we came back home and I just happened to be, I was actually sitting in the Costco parking lot of all places and looked on my phone, and here is this TAAF website that pops up on my phone. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to call. And Dina picks up and we just start talking, and I'm pretty sure she thought that I was crazy because I was just like, I want to do something. I want to do something. I am definitely a doer. And that's for me, the way that I process and I heal. I have to do things, and it really is that idea of service. And so I can't remember what time of year it was, but